All right, folks, good evening and welcome. It's a Friday, October 15th in the Gregorian calendar, and welcome to the Journalist Hangout. I'm Citizen Jones. Today on the program, federal government tells federal civil servants to show vaccination proof or present negative COVID-19 result to access offices. Civil society organizations, CSOs, want President Buhari's assent to amended Electoral Act before Anambra governorship election, and later on, Benue State panel on police brutality okays 304.5 million naira compensation for victims. Let's report I'm hanging out with Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. Jide, each time you leave town, we know you will come back with money. No, I may be wrong. Welcome. Good evening to you.
Thank you.
There's also the Asaba boy, Tony Nwaje. I greet you, Tony. Good evening to you.
Good evening, citizens, and good evening, Nigeria.
All right, then. So the team is ready. I hope you are. All right, to our first story. The federal government has made COVID-19 vaccination compulsory, or civil servants will be off its payroll. Secretary to the federal government, SGF boss Mustafa, who doubles as chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, dropped this frightening hint on Wednesday during a briefing. Well, according to the directive, from December 1st, civil servants would be denied access to their offices without proof of vaccination or otherwise proof of a COVID-19 PCR test. Now, this affects all staffers in all locations within Nigeria and our missions abroad. This directive, it's expected, will be followed to the letter. The persuasion seems to not be the word anymore. It's either duress or coercion.
Well, it came to me as a surprise. Don't forget that when the government first came up with this idea, some states, some Nigerian states, including Ogun State, close by, said no, that they would not want to have anything to do with compulsory vaccination, and even policies meant to punish people who refused to vaccinate. I believe that, yes, it is important to get vaccinated, but the argument people will make is whether the morbidity rate, the mortality rate, and other indices points to the fact that we are at such a dangerous level
as to make vaccination compulsory.
Yes, as to make it compulsory, to the point of even risking some form of crisis with labor, because labor relations could in fact be at risk when you stop people from accessing their workplaces just because they do not have proof of vaccination, or that they do not have proof that they've had the PCR test, or that they are clean, in speaking in clear terms.
Yeah.
You know, but every adult is permitted to be able to make informed consent. Informed consent about medical decisions. Every adult should be able to take that medical decision on his own. So the fundamental rights of people would be infringed if we go this route. Remember when the governor of Edo State came up with this idea, the people protested and said, see, the big problem that we face is hunger, not even COVID. So government has to be careful. Yes, every nation deserves to come up with an effective response. that will address the COVID-19 uptake. But at the same time, you've got to do it within the bounds of the law, within the ambit of the law. Because even in advanced countries, people are not forced to take.
The U.S. itself, so many states said, don't constrain us to take this vaccine.
So people are, persuasion is still the best strategy.
Oh,
people have their fears about the purpose of this vaccine and the effect it could have on them. We've got to continue to appeal to people that, look, this vaccine is not harmful, it's meant to keep every one of us safe. Even the WHO prescribes
even
that.
Even though it is not a cure-all.
It is not. It's not a cure-all. We've seen people got 2 jabs and they still succumb to the virus. Now they are even suggesting suggesting now that some people may need a 3rd jab. I was reading about the Americans and say this is still kill 2,000 people in America. So that's the last body count. So if it was a vaccine that once you take it,
it's good night.
You have no fear at all in the world that you will succumb to the virus. It's a different kettle of fish. But we have what someone described as we have been given what someone described as a fast food in form of vaccine, because the world was in a hurry, the world was desperate to get back to normalcy, and we quickly rolled out these vaccines without taking ample time to do research and see how it reacts. Some strains of this virus have come out even after the vaccines were rolled out. Meaning that so those strains, in coming up with those vaccines, they never bore those new strains in mind, and that's why we have what we are. So I don't believe in trying to force people.
Tony, you know, we must factor religious concerns and cultural, cultural stuff into all of this. And besides, persuade people, don't coerce people.
Yeah, but that's what it looks like, and because when you coerce through compulsion, it will be counterproductive. And it will lead to...
people have to be convinced.
It will give credence to that conspiracy theory people have been talking about. But I'm happy the Executive Director, Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shuaib, at the press conference yesterday in Abuja, however, clarified that it's not mandatory. It's a choice and not a compulsory exercise, even though it's expected that every Nigerian should get vaccinated against the dreaded. So it's been clarified that it's not compulsory, because really you can't. Because there's no piece of legislation anywhere that made it I'm yet to, maybe I stand to be corrected, pushing people to, forcing people to go take it. It's like a violation of
a herd mentality. You must go this way.
Which is not going to work, because it means the violation of their rights, rights, and of course, religion and all. A lot of things we play out here. It won't work that way. And even before now, we've seen it. Nigerians are not,
too keen.
But I think I want to blame government, really. Because when we talk about COVID vaccination and all that, we only see it in Lagos and Abuja. Please, can you go around the states, apart from Lagos and Abuja, and go to the fringes of the states, local government wards and streets, communities, towns and all that, villages, you don't see them. We only talk about it here, civil servants. What's the population? I think government is not doing enough, apart from civil servants.
But I know this has hit you too. Reports from many centers, vaccination centers, where people are befuddled. Do I pay for this? And is this thing available and all that? There seems to be stuff we are not understanding.
That's what I'm saying. That's where government comes in, because there seems to be a communication breakdown here. A lot of people want to know. I don't see why now. Boss Mustafa, SGF, was saying that by second quarter of next year, we should have about 52 million doses of vaccine. Second quarter of next year, to a population of 200 and something million people. And we're looking at it this way. And then it's civil servants you're talking about. The issue As I said earlier, we only talk about it at the in Lagos State, Abuja. What about the other parts of the country? How are you persuading them? Are you educating them enough to know the implication of this vaccine?
From your village, from the town?
People are not aware, sincerely speaking. People are not aware. We only talk about it in Lagos here. And then in Abuja, when they do this briefing and all that, they need to go to these communities and they know not life is going on there as if there's no COVID.
That's another angle to it. Even in my village, I'm wondering if it is hip to take the jab, you know. And if you are missing the jab, it tells you are missing something.
The truth even is how many federal civil servants do we have? So the strategy is still not enough. If we are determined to achieve cross-country vaccine coverage for COVID-19, we can't use the strategy of simply targeting federal civil servants.
Alone.
How many are there?
Yeah.
In a country of about 200 million, how many are there? Because the states are not coming up with this idea. You see, the policy does not say that compulsory vaccination. You get the point. But the policy aims at pushing people to get vaccinated, or they could be stopped from accessing the offices. If they don't have
a new element into the whole thing.
Yes, if they don't have the PCR test result. So that clarification does not totally clear the thing. Now, you talking about even these PCR results. Instead of coming up with a policy that ensures that everyone who wants to take a test gets to take the test without all kinds of encumbrances. Yeah. What do we have? People are being referred to test testers that are simply out to extort money from people, charging people as high as 70,000, especially travelers, charging them as high as 70,000 to get tested. I mean, these are the reasons many people are angry and they don't even want to do the test, not to talk of the vaccination. So now is an option. They've given you options. You either take the test and produce evidence that you've taken the jab, or come up with the PCR result that shows that you are negative. So that is the thing. How many people can actually go get that PCR?
How many people know about it?
The enlightenment is certainly not enough.
At all.
And I'm even talking about the money. Look at what the South Africans are doing. The South Africans have achieved 1/3 vaccine coverage in their country. And now what they are doing is to say, okay, 12-year-olds, we are now targeting 12-year-olds for vaccination. And they made it such that even at that age, they don't need the consent of that. They made the law, you know.
The parents.
So that at that stage, even at that age, they don't need the permission of their parents to go get the jab. Yeah. They've simplified it, made it so easy to reach everyone. How many test centers do we have? When you compare,
people seem to have been so enlightened about it.
Yes, and there are numerous test centers.
Yeah.
Compared to us, it's a country of about 50 million people. We are a country of 200 million, but they have far more test centers than we do. So they are making progress in terms of achieving cross-country coverage. But I don't think that trying to make it compulsory is the solution. I once talked on this program about the Manchester United manager, Kolade-Otitoju, when one of his goalkeepers succumbed to, contracted the virus. The journalist now said, didn't you people make vaccination compulsory for your players? He said, no, that we can't make it compulsory. The player has the right to say, I want the jab or I don't want. I mean, these are decisions for the
Personal
individual
decisions.
to take.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if over there, despite the fact it has killed far more people there than our country, it's a bigger problem over there than here. If they didn't feel the need to force people, we shouldn't attempt to force our people, stop them from coming to work.
Are we saying, Tony, are we saying that Nigeria is yielding to pressures from outside?
It's obvious. It's very obvious. But they are going about it the wrong way. They're going about it the wrong way because I think first and foremost, enlightenment. People need to know the implication of not
getting vaccinated.
That is number one. It's like putting a cart before the horse. Take it around the country, and then secondly, we must have the doses. We must have
sufficient
doses of.
And getting vaccinated must not be tedious.
It shouldn't be tedious. I can walk into my street and see a center where I don't need to. And Nigerians like being pushed. And if you don't want it that way, provide it at least within their reach, so that people can go out. As you're driving, you're seeing them. I don't need to go to a local government to get vaccinated. Why is it difficult to do these things? I mean, it's easy. It's easy. Can we just borrow this thing from other countries? If you want people to really get vaccinated, first and foremost, take the enlightenment around the country. Let them see the implication of not getting vaccinated. Make the vaccine dosage available to the people.
Oh, yeah.
And then create centers that people can walk in easily without stress.
There are drive-by test centers in the UAE.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
You are inside your car. You don't even need to come out.
They come to you.
You beckon. The fellow comes.
You people, you are on a queue, for example.
Okay.
Right there, you are inside your car, and you are being tested. It's not like you need to come
down and see the protocols.
Make a heavy weather.
Yes, right there inside your car. You are not coming down. You get tested.
Little wonder, Tony, some of our colleagues will get vaccinated and they are joyous about it.
Of course.
It will make it look like a status symbol.
make you look guilty, Well, we heard that Dr. Kalu has joined us from Lagos. Doctor, first of all, have you been vaccinated?
Pastor Ben.
Oh, Pastor Ben, I thank you. Okay, but have you been vaccinated?
Okay, Jones, good evening, sir. Good evening. God bless you all. I love your program. I love you all.
Thank you, sir.
I vaccinated. I've completed my vaccination, sir.
Okay.
Thanks. God bless you.
Now, the rumors I'm hearing, sir, want you to put me through that within 3 years, the people that are vaccinated will die. Is this true?
No, he said it was a rumor. So.
Let's not believe those rumors.
For the hangout, this particular hangout, rumors have no room. It is either the news or it is not. Thank you, Pastor. Okay, in taking this home, I think I want to talk directly to my government. I've heard people say sheepishly in saner environments, this country is sane. And they also tell you in more advanced countries, this country is advanced enough. But I think we should stop making a mess of boiling a 5-minute egg. If you ask a Nigerian, spend 5 minutes to boil an egg, the egg will be boiling for 1 hour. And when you ask him why, the man says, no be now why I just put them. So we can make a meal of vaccinating Nigerians. All right, then, let's go to our next story. One sure way of deepening democracy and building confidence of Nigerians in the electoral process in this country as we speak is when Mr. President gives his assent to the amended electoral bill which had been in the National Assembly since 2019. Now, civil society organizations advised President Muhammadu Buhari to sign the bill into law before the Anambra State governorship polls slated for November 6th, and that's about 21 days from now. Now, the CSOs also have a word for the National Assembly. It insists that the Assembly avoids any action that could delay Mr. President's signature. A harmonized version of the bill has a 30-day lifespan before it becomes law. But first, let's share the story of the CSOs with you.
Commendations are still coming the way of the Nigerian Senate for bowing to the electronic transmission of election results by the nation's electoral umpire. This coalition of civil society groups appreciates an electronic transmission of election results devoid of interventions from the Nigerian Communications Commission and the National Assembly. The group believes electronic transmission of results guarantees credibility of the electoral process and wants the bill signed into law before the November 6th Anambra State governorship election.
We are calling on the conference committee not to go to sleep. This is October. We would be grateful and we would give all of you presents and gifts and call you heroes if by the end of October the conference committee has finished harmonizing the electoral amendment bill, so that by November, or maybe before November, it has gotten to the office of Mr. President.
Welcoming this e-transmission of electoral results would help us as a nation and ensure that everyone is in line with the vision and the mission of this nation.
Our leaders must understand that impunity will not serve anybody any good. The only way that we can have a win-win situation for everybody, both the winners and the losers, is for us to have credible electoral process, which will ensure that those who lose will know that they are gracious in defeat and the winners will be humble in victory.
But they call for caution in compelling political parties to adopt a particular mode of primary elections.
One of the reasons why people are saying that they should have a direct primary is because our election has become monetized. And some persons who are participating in smaller elections like House of Representatives and even the senatorial elections also have that concern that governors are manipulating the process when it comes to indirect primaries. So, but for us, we believe that there is no easy way out of this. The best option will be for the two modes of primaries to be allowed, in our democratic process.
They may be few in number in line with COVID-19 protocols, but this coalition of civil society groups insists its message is powerful enough to ensure a new trajectory for the Nigerian nation.
All right, then let's break this story down. Jide, first of all, the National Assembly tripped me in a way when it reversed itself on the electronic transfer of voting results. I think it takes sheer guts to do that. But somebody had said the people are just returning from a recess. It's a position they have all taken.
The way it is, it wasn't as if they were against it in the beginning. If we go down memory lane, the committee recommended electronic. Yes. In the House of Reps, an individual suddenly got up saying that, look, it should be amended, that they should not wholesale accept electronic transmission of results because there are places where you don't have network, and then it led to so much bad blood, argument back and forth, and then the PDP members walked out. But what happened was that after they walked out, it was what the committee recommended. It was the report of the committee that was then adopted.
After
they walked out, it was still the report that the committee of the House of Reps, which met over the whole matter, recommended. It was a report that I presented that was now adopted. So the House of Reps was the first to adopt electronic transmission. What the Senate merely did was to adopt the House of Reps version.
Okay.
Yes. So they merely adopted the House of Reps version to achieve some form of concurrence between the two chambers. So that's what we have. And then issues around mode of primaries also came in.
Yeah.
They had gone home. Some of them were already victims. Their governors blocked some of them. They couldn't vote during the World Congresses. Some of their supporters couldn't vote. They felt marginalized. They felt alienated. They felt quarantined. And then they decided that, look, the best thing is to go for
direct.
What's it called? Direct primary, so that every card-carrying member of a party would then be involved in choosing their leaders, in building the structures of the party from bottom to top. So that's what I initially. I remember when I interviewed Ina Abaribe, he said, "Look, because there was so much bad blood in the Senate," and he said, "Look, we are going to be talking to ourselves during this long break, and hopefully this won't be the last of the then." Thankfully, the House of Reps had quickly adopted the report presented to it by its committee on the matter. So once it adopted that report, the Senate merely said, "Okay, we want to go with the House of Reps. We adopt that version of the bill that the House of Reps had passed." Yeah. So one must praise the Speaker of the House of Reps, because from the first day, you could see that it took both steps. You know, he suggested that, look, okay, let us have the INEC as well as the NCC to come and present their positions. Yes, let them even come and explain why they want this. That's talking about the INEC. But in the end, INEC was not allowed to make that presentation. It was the NCC. But then there was the issue of breaching constitutional provision, which gives INEC the power to conduct elections the way it deems fit. So if you are now subjecting if you are now saying the NCC should determine where electronic transmission can take place, that means you've taken away the independence conferred on INEC by the Constitution. They were also careful about that, because some people could have gone to court to say, no, this is in breach of the Constitution. So it's a good thing that we now have at least electronic transmission of results. And you can see when the governor of Edo State was interviewed when he visited the president, he said, if not for it, I'm sure I would not have been governor. I would not have been re-elected.
But let's also say here that the Kaduna State governor allowed that process to go on.
Yes, during the local government election. He recommended the equipment and the processes to the federal government.
Tony, but you see, the National Assembly making it a law, mandatory on political parties to go the direct primary way. You think it's good for democracy?
They're kicking already, and I think they should just allow the parties to decide. But really, that delegate thing is not working. Where the one with the cash.
That's indirect
primary. So let's test the other way, because they've been doing that for a long time. And if we really want electoral reform, it should, apart from electronic transmission of results, other component parts of that act should come into purview, into the issue. People votes must count. Electronic transmission of results is number one, because a situation whereby people vote, and the moment you leave the polling center, you don't even know what happened to your election, to your vote. Doesn't augur well for development and democracy.
It is not a cure, or it's not like a silver bullet.
No. That's why I said all of them. It's not. It's just let's just start from somewhere. Let's start from somewhere. It must happen. It must happen, because I've been, at polling centers where elections are held. You drop your vote, they start waiting. I don't need to wait. I should have confidence in the electoral system that once I go, my vote should count. But waiting means there's a doubt. There's an element of doubt somewhere, and it shouldn't happen. Nigeria has come of age. At this level, we should not have any doubt whatsoever in the electoral system.
Electronically and have results.
I don't know why we can do that. Anybody who's saying it's not possible, it's been not economical truth. It's not being sincere at all. We can do it. We can do it. I mean, Why would you vote here? We vote here, and we're going to carry our vote by road. At this age and time, we can do it. So I salute the National Assembly, and I pray that the President should give his assent immediately. And there shouldn't be any issue whatsoever that makes it impossible.
All right.
Can we proceed? Unless Anambra election, we should start from there and use it as a test case.
All right. I hear that Ada has joined us from Just Plateau State. Good evening.
And the other person there, journalist Hangout.
Yeah.
It's Ada from Jos.
Ada, we greet you.
Please,
welcome.
I stand with the CSOs for the swift harmonization of the assent to the electoral amendment bills by President Buhari. But now, what I want to know is this. Mr. President, assenting to it or not is not the only option. So I find it ridiculous when the National Assembly keeps giving us the impression, as if we are illiterate, that if Mr. President doesn't assent to it, that is the problem. That's not the problem. If they are discharging their duties, the way it should be, without being partisan, they have an option. There's a provision there that was a certain period of time or whatever, it becomes law. So what are they talking about? Who are they fooling? Then again, my own concern is not just the direct or indirect, but let that electoral bill have it in such a way that the party members can decide whether there is war or whether there is peace. But then let them not allow them to decide with their positions. You know?
Ada, we got you first time. And we share your sentiments. Thank you. Jide, but there's a little fly in the ointment. When the news came yesterday that the Supreme Court had finally put the ceiling on who to represent APGA, the forthcoming Anambra elections, the questions will remain, or the basic question will remain, must the courts step in?
All the time.
So can't the process re-engineer itself?
The problem is with the individuals. The problem is with the politicians. The politicians believe in the winner takes all
mantra.
Yes. So they are bad losers. You see people who are badly beaten an election, they will pursue litigation right up to Supreme Court.
Spend money.
Waste money and all that. So until we begin to have faith in the system, until parties to do their best to have genuine, not just intra-party discipline, but intra-party justice system that ensures that even when a person has issues with the conduct of an intra-party election, it can be sure that it will get justice.
Yeah.
They will not be going. During the Awolowo years, we were not having a deluge of litigation from political parties like this. But the way it is now, power people within parties want to lord it over everyone. They want to have their way at all times. And sometimes in doing that, they breach the rights of other people. So those ones will be forced to go to court. I've seen even a local government chairman who was illegally removed from office by a sitting governor in Kwara. And the local government chairman was forced to go to court. So even after I went to court and he won, what did we see? The governor refused to allow him come back to office. So impunity even by politicians enable all of these court cases that we are seeing. So if they do not change their attitude, this will continue. The only good thing that I'm seeing in terms of the amendment to the electoral law that the current Senate has done is that it provides for 180 days.
Yeah, within which to
cases will have been resolved and all that
before inauguration.
Yes. So you won't have a situation in which once primaries are held earlier, those issues will be resolved before they go for election. So if we can do that, we can't wish away the court coming to intervene until we become more mature politically,
and
we become less selfish. politically.
Less selfish, more mature. You know, Tony, when the great American TV producer says aging is mandatory but growing up is optional, you are asking, are you saying we don't have politicians who are grown-ups?
We have, but there are few.
Okay.
And so when you have the majority thinking in the negative, we have what we experience what we're going through today. Nigeria is really ripe for a new for change.
A new
democratically,
order. A new democratic
we are ready,
order.
But I think individually we are not ready. Just as Jide said, the courts, inquiry for instance, and the governor is doing it the other way. I think another state, I think in Oyo too, when local government chairmen are reinstated by the court, and the governor is saying they are not going to adhere to it. What are we saying?
And the governor someday seeks to go to the court.
Yes, exactly. They know their own time will come. But in the interim, and nobody has the capacity, have power to compel them. And that's why we're facing this today.
You know what I'm thinking as we go to our last story, Jide and Tony. I'm thinking of the number of policemen we're sending to Anambra just to ensure that there's peace and calm. That tells you we have a long way to go.
With militant groups killing people, storming campaign grounds and all that, the area has to be better protected. Yes, otherwise, you won't see people on election day.
I support that.
As it is now, only ABGA is actually going around to campaign.
The rest.
Other parties are too scared
to even do rallies.
I heard one
Some are taking their rallies outside of the state.
Lagos. Interesting.
Even Deltas, Asaba, are doing rally for an Anambra election.
Well, Asaba is understood because they are neighbors.
But that's not the state. That's not the state.
It shouldn't be.
All right, to our last story. Policing in our country is, to say the least, on trial. With 5 days to go to the first anniversary of the #EndSARS protest of last year, the Benue State Panel on Police Brutality has okayed 304.5 million naira compensation for victims of the protest. Chairman of the panel and Benue State Chief Justice Adam Onum recommended the compensation in his report and suggested that various police officers found complicit in the brutality must be adequately punished. The State Deputy Governor Benson Abuonu, who received the report on behalf of his boss, Governor Samuel Otom, said the report will be transmitted to the federal government, who authorized the setting up of the panel. Tony, Daniel has come to judgment, or so it would seem.
Yes. I'm looking at it. It's not even this deputy governor who received the report on behalf of the governor said the report will be transmitted to the federal government, who authorized the sitting of the panel. What does that tell us? It's like, okay, federal government, you said we should set up this. Now there's a competition arising from how we're going to go about this money. Because that is what is going on. I've heard, it's not only Benue, I've seen states, but the question is, have they started the compensation? I've seen rallies, I've seen protests by victims, who are, yet to get this compensation. So it's not about the panel recommending compensation to victim of police brutality and all that. It's about, the question is, are those compensation currently being paid? Which states have started paying that compensation? The reform, and the police, the federal government, pushed forward after the EndSARS protest and all that. Are we seeing the reform? Has police changed? These are the questions that that should arise from the whole thing. Which I'm not saying yet. It's not. So it's not. It goes beyond the panel recommending, because when you do this, there will be expectation on the part of the victims, and then you keep telling them stories. Just look at this. The deputy governor is saying, now we have received this report. You're going to liaise with the federal government. How many of those states, is the federal government ready to take these portfolios from all these states that these panels are, coming up with different kinds of compensation for victims of police brutality? Who is going to fund it? Where's the money going to come from? Is it from the states? Have we talked about it? Is the state ready to do it? So it's not about. I think we at times we play a lot in this country. We play. I'm yet to see anybody who has received those compensation in cash.
He's talking about reforms, and you are asking, is the Nigeria police finding it difficult to re-engineer itself so that policing becomes a chosen vocation?
Well, it's going to take a while to change the psyche of the policeman in Nigeria. A good number of people who are in the police have no business being there. Some of them are never-do-wells who could not find any other career. Maybe they tried to get into some other establishments and failed. And then the politician who knows someone in the Police Service Commission or knows someone in the police leadership decided to come forward with such people and ask that they be made policemen. When you look at
the rot in the police will start from the recruitment ground.
Of course, of course. And if we want to fix the police, we must start from the recruitment.
That's simple.
That's why I said a good number of them do not deserve to be in the police. You have policemen who are drunkards, policemen who are hemp smokers. I've even seen a policeman who had a habit of going to a hemp smoking joint not far from my uncle's house to join civilians that he ought to be arrested.
They don't close that joint.
You said
no, they built a house. They built a house there now. Now, people that he ought to be arresting is joining them in smoking. He will even 50 it with some of them. You know, so you can imagine someone who should be arresting me. We are sharing the same stick of Igbo. You know how senseless that is. When the former IG said, okay, talking about the new policing unit that will replace SARS, that they were going to screen the former SARS people and all that, because the truth is not every one of them that was bad. Yes, you disbanded them, but at least some of them could still be useful. They said that they were going to test their urine and maybe take their blood samples to find out whether they were carrying
residue
of illicit drugs in their system. A good number of them tested positive to illicit drugs. A good number. If the police will come out, release the number of people that failed that test, we will be embarrassed as a nation.
Wow.
And that's why you see some of them just carry gun, you'll be shooting. Have you not seen videos of policemen in a drunken state?
Yeah.
You know? And he's carrying an assault weapon.
But they are human.
They are human, but you know that you are on duty, you have a gun, and you are getting drunk. That's being crazy, not being human. That's moving beyond the realm of being human. You cannot afford to be drunk while carrying an assault weapon. While being on duty. Yes. So this is the thing. There is a need for us to look at our recruitment module into the police. Only the best should get into the police. A situation in which people cannot make it in other professions, people in the police. Never do well from other professions, or people that I would describe as birds of passage get into the police will take us nowhere. Now look at what the police, the Attorney General of Benue is saying, that they discovered different levels of brutality, including murder of persons in cold blood by the police. And that's what happens everywhere. Even now that we don't have SARS, there are still people in the police taking people's lives cheaply. People died in police custody from torture. The report emphasized that. And then unlawful destruction of people's property by the police, then intimidating people with the intention of extorting money from them. So the president told the governors to set up these panels with a view to unraveling years of ill treatment of the Nigerian people by the police.
Unaddressed?
Yes, that may not be addressed for long. And then payment of possible compensation. If there is a state in Nigeria that is broke, it has to be Benue. So now The governor is saying, you are the one who told us to set up this panel. Now, recommendations are being made that they should pay. So where are they going to get the money? It was the same thing that the governor of Bayelsa said he does not know where this money will come from. But at least we are establishing that
people were brutalized.
Yes, and that it must not continue.
That's it.
And the people brutalized deserve to be compensated.
Okay, Plateau State has joined us via La. La, you are here. Good evening to you.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I greet you. Welcome. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I just want to speak briefly on this police brutality. Something happened some time ago in Benue State. Precisely, hello?
Just keep talking.
Yeah. I said I want to speak briefly on police brutality.
Go on, you are on.
Yeah. Something happened sometimes ago in Benue State. 2 days to Christmas, my community people, they used to slaughter cows during Christmas. So meanwhile, there was a rumor that there was a robbery somewhere 3 kilometers away from where they were slaughtering cows. So meanwhile, they caught SARS. SARS couldn't come on time. When they came after the robbery, they went directly and arrested innocent people who were slaughtering cows preparing for Christmas. I tell you, the level at which they brutal these people, the level at which they assault these people, the level at which they chastise these people, at a point that NUT sue SARS to court, because most of these people arrested were members of were primary school teachers. NUT sued SARS to court. The community sued SARS to court because of such brutality.
Yeah, you are not alone. Too many stories like yours will come from different angles of the country. But we are talking about a police service that to many people was a way of life. The police was never like this. Sometimes you are asking, Jide, do we deserve the police we have?
We certainly don't deserve the police we have. No country deserves the police that we have. Because, look, the former IG was so embarrassed at a point he came to Lagos when policemen were misbehaving here. Policemen are, dragging people to ATM points and ordering them to transfer money into their accounts. So it takes a totally thoughtless policeman to go to an ATM point and order someone to transfer money. Don't you know that you are living a trail?
Many of them
they were arrested in the end
to go with POS machines.
Yes, we had that. But whenever anybody transfers money from his own account to yours, you've left a trail.
That's thievery.
You've left a trail, and the police has a unit that addresses such issues, and a good number of them were arrested. You can't go to a viewing center drunk, armed with an AK-47 or AK-49, and then open fire on innocent people. We've seen that happen here in Lagos. So the Nigerian police has to go through some form of metamorphosis that will ensure that it remains or it is loyal to the civil populace and respects the civil populace except the criminals.
Exactly.
Respect the civil populace. Don't say because you have a uniform, you are wearing a uniform, you are superior to your fellow Nigerian. You are not. Not even a soldier is superior to the fellow other Nigerians just because they are wearing a uniform.
Jide Anthony. But do you know that by law, the most powerful man on the streets of Nigeria is the policeman? He's the only man who can, by law, stop and search you.
Yes.
Come to your house.
We don't have a problem with this.
You know, produce a search warrant, search you, and so on.
How many times do they even produce a search warrant?
Do they produce search warrants? Do they move search warrants? We need to look into our recruitment process.
They arrest people for laws that do not exist.
I had a reason for asking if we deserve the police we are getting.
We do not.
So many Nigerians will resort to the police, one police brother or officer friend somewhere to go and
settle scores.
Settle scores and so on.
And nothing happened.
So the police, I think we can do better than we're doing.
A lot.
And
the bad eggs are letting down the decent and fantastic officers in the police. It's not everybody that is bad.
Exactly.
Not all of them. And do you know why Nigerians don't volunteer information? If I give them information,
if you go give me, and then go come kill me.
Bam, you know. And
that's why we have to look into it, because I don't know why it's hard for us to reform the. Why is it difficult?
And those people who planned to celebrate a so-called 1 year of SARS should please sheathe their sword. We have enough wahala on our hands. And so we must go. Tony, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Jide, many thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, if you missed this program, join us at 11 for a late edition. And of course, on Sunday, there's the fresh one for the new week from 1:30 to 3:30, 2 solid hours of the Hangout. And of course, we're on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Citizen Jones. Goodbye for now. Take care of yourself.